You were a kid who got good at being alone before you even knew that was a skill. You'd come into a quiet house and your whole body would settle, the way most people's bodies settle only when someone they trust walks in. Nobody had to be home. The silence itself did it. Another kid might have called that lonely. To you, it felt like the room had finally gone to the right volume. That feeling never left. You're an adult now, and you still know it, cold. The door closes behind you, the world goes quiet, and something in your chest lets go. People assume solitude is something you fell into later after enough people let you down. It isn't. For a lot of people who prefer being alone, the preference was built early, quietly, without anyone deciding to build it. And once you see how you stop apologizing for it, start with how it's supposed to work. Most kids learn to calm down through someone else. They get scared an adult shows up, and the nervous system files the lesson away, help comes when I call. Psychologists call this co-regulation. You borrow another person's calm until you grow your own. Need rises, someone answers, and the body learns, I don't have to handle this by myself. That's normal. That's most of the human race. But that wasn't the room you grew up in. So your wiring laid itself down a different way, and it shows up now in 4 places you've probably never connected to being a kid. The first one is the one people misread the most. They say you don't let them in. They say you keep a wall up, that you're hard to reach. And they're not making it up, the pattern is real. When something goes wrong, your first move isn't to reach for a person. It's to go quiet and handle it. Here's what they're missing. Attachment researcher Mary Ainsworth spent years watching how children respond when the people they depend on aren't reliably available. The kids who stopped reaching didn't stop feeling. They built a different strategy, self-reliance ahead of schedule. It got labeled avoidant, which sounds like a flaw. But look at what it actually was. You didn't fail to bond. You built a backup system early, and it never once went offline. Most people are still waiting for someone to show up. You stopped waiting and learned to show up for yourself. The second one lives in your body, not your story. People call you withdrawn, low energy in groups, the one who leaves early. The reaction is real crowds genuinely cost you something they don't cost other people. Psychologist Hans Eysenck found why decades ago. Introverted nervous systems run at a higher baseline of internal arousal, which means they need less coming in from the outside to feel fully stimulated. A loud room isn't exciting to a system like that. It's flooding. So when you were a kid, a quiet house wasn't empty. It was the exact level your wiring was tuned for. You weren't hiding from life. You were sitting at the right setting while everyone around you cranked the dial up just to feel something. The third one is the heaviest, and it's where this starts to cost something. Somewhere early, you became the regulator. Not just for yourself, sometimes for the whole room. You learned to read the temperature of a house before you fully learned to read. Stanford psychologist James Gross, who built much of the modern science of emotion regulation, found that the skill normally develops slowly, with help over years. Some kids get fast-tracked. They develop it early because the situation demanded it, not because anyone sat them down and taught it. I'll tell you the moment I understood my own version of this. I was about 10, making my own dinner most nights, nothing dramatic, just the way the house ran. Homework done, put myself to bed, handled the small fires myself. And years later, a grown adult, it landed on me in the middle of an ordinary day. I did not know how to ask someone for help. Not too proud to. I just never installed the function. The wiring for reach out had nothing on it. That's the cost nobody warns you about. You grow up so capable that needing someone starts to feel like a language you were never taught. So let me stop and ask you the thing this whole video is circling. Did you choose solitude, or did you learn early that needing people was a risk you couldn't afford, because both make you genuinely good at being alone? Both look identical from the outside. But only one of them is freedom. The other one is a wall with a very convincing view. Only you know which one raised you. And you don't have to answer me, just don't lie to yourself about it. If you've never heard someone put this into words before, follow for more on the psychology of quiet intensity. The fourth one is where it resolves. For most people, being alone is the waiting room, the place you sit until the real thing, other people, comes back. For you, it was never the waiting room. It was the destination. Thuy-Vinh Nguyen, who researches solitude at Durham University, found something that breaks the usual story. Time alone isn't just the absence of people for a lot of people, it's actively restorative. It's where the nervous system finally settles and recharges. You figured that out as a kid with no research to back you up. The closed door wasn't where you went to hide from your life. It was where you went to get yourself back. If you're a man, this one rarely gets called what it is. A boy who raised himself a little doesn't get called self-reliant. He gets called distant, closed off, hard to reach. The independence you built to survive gets read by other men as coldness, and by anyone who wants closeness as a rejection. You spend years being told the strongest thing you ever built is the thing that's wrong with you. It isn't. You learned how to be okay alone before most kids learned how to ride a bike. You taught yourself the one thing a lot of grown adults still can't do: sit in a quiet room and feel fine. That kid in the silent house figured something out early, and somewhere underneath all of it, you already know what it was. You know what your own company sounds like when no one's there to interrupt it. That kid never left. And he was never the problem. Which one was your childhood? The first, the second, the third, or the fourth? Drop the number in the comments. And if there's someone in your life who's always preferred their own company and never quite knew why, send this to them. Sometimes the thing a person needed wasn't fixing. It was just hearing it explained.